Welcome, everybody. This is the Committee on Labor, Culture, and the Arts. Today is Friday, February 4th, 2022, and we are in conference room 225, and it is just 3 o'clock right now. Before we begin our hearing this afternoon, I have a few housekeeping announcements I'd like to make. This meeting is being streamed live on YouTube. It is in the unlikely event that we have to abruptly end this hearing due to technical difficulties. The committee will reconvene to discuss any outstanding business at 3 p.m. on February 7th in this room, 325. 225, sorry. Also, today is First Friday, and we'd like to ask that all our viewers, check out Chinatown to support the arts community there. This is a non-paid commercial. Okay, so with that, we'll begin.
From the Labor, Culture, and Arts Committee.
Yes, yes. Okay, so we will begin our hearing on a number of Senate bills today. We'll begin with Senate Bill 3221. This is relating to international sister state relations. We have DBED, Mr. Mark Ritchie.
Yeah. Aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and member of the committee. DBED will stand on its written testimony in support of this bill. Thank you.
Thank you. We also have comments from the Department of Budget and Finance. I don't think they're on. And from the Japan American Society of Hawaii in support. Let's see, do we have any questions for members? Okay, if not, Chair had a quick question for Mark. I got a quick budget from Dennis Ling regarding possibly needing about 200,000 for the next next year, for sister state activities. So I just want to confirm that, and if you're aware of that, I'm not sure.
Yes, that's correct. Thank you. Yes.
Okay, thank you. Right, any questions from members? Further questions? If not, we'll proceed to Senate Bill 2713. This is relating to capital improvements projects for the state archives. We have the comptroller, Mr. Otaguro, testifying for DAGS.
Chair, Vice Chair, members of the committee. Obviously, I am not the state comptroller. I am Dr. Adam Jansen, and I have the honor of serving as state archivist and administrator of the archives. I am here representing Mr. Otaguro, and DAG stands on its testimony, and we also wish to reinforce how important this is. The facility we are in now was built 70 years ago. It was never intended to last as long as it has. It was built in a time when the most advanced technology was the typewriter. So the infrastructure of this building was never designed or even conceived for digital. And we have one of the largest, most sophisticated digitization programs in the state so that we can make these invaluable and irreplaceable records, the documentary heritage of the Hawaiian people, accessible to the public. Public records are not public if the public cannot access them. We should not require people on Maui to have to take the day off and fly out here. So there's so much more that we can do for the people to reconnect them with their documentary heritage. And this plan will set the cornerstone on what should the archives look like, what services does it need to provide in the 21st century. And so we thank you for consideration of this bill, and I'm available for any comments.
Thank you. You also submitted testimony as an individual. Did you want to go over that briefly?
That was to get the link so that I could be here to support the comptroller. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Do you have any questions from members? Dr. Jansen, I noticed that the governor put in 250,000 for planning. Our estimate is that it'd be closer to $1 million. What would you like to?
I concur with your estimate, and the reason for that is it's not just a simple expansion of this building. It's also about the capability and the programs that the archives needs to provide, again, in the 21st century, as we migrate from a paper-based paradigm into a almost digital remote paradigm. So the 250 the governor requested is just the beginning to address some of these concerns. And it is most likely that we would have to come back again to further that implementation aspect to include some of the design aspects. Given the fact that we are in excess of 98% capacity right now, time literally is of the essence. At this rate, by this biennium, I am going to be full, which means I can no longer really take in historical documents, artifacts, preserve the history of peoples. So if we don't act now, it's going to be too late, and I'm going to have to start turning this away, which means most likely it's going to hit the rubbish bin.
Well, I hope that doesn't happen to the documents I will be turning over upon my retirement from the Senate. But
Well, if we can't take them, does that mean you won't retire?
That's a good idea.
No. Okay.
Thank you.
All righty. Any further questions from members? If not, thank you. We'll proceed to Senate Bill 3317 relating to improvement projects for Iolani Palace. Let's see. We have DLNR, my buddy Kurt Cottrell.
So you're actually, Kurt Cottrell, Administrator for Division of State Parks. Congratulations on your announcement, Senator. That's a long haul. I remember when I worked for Mark Andrews, you were there and you were already a veteran. I really appreciate, the department really appreciates this attention to Iolani Palace. I do need to make a correction to our testimony. This is what happens when you recycle previous testimony. She's now 143 years old, not 142 years old, and definitely showing all the strains of that age. We have a very robust punch list of things that need to be repaired, starting with the roof, the HVAC system, electrical systems, the basement, the first floor, the second floor, the third floor, various other external elements. And I know that we have the executive director of Friends of Iolani Palace, Paula Akana, who is intimately aware of each one of the things that we need to do. So with that, thank you. We appreciate the interest and support.
Thank you, Kurt. Let's see. Alan Carpenter.
He's just back up in case I had.
Oh. Okay. Thank you. We have his testimony and support. James Kurata, same?
Same.
Okay. Then Paula Akana, Executive Director for the Friends of Iolani Palace. Hi, Paula.
Hi, aloha Chair, Vice Chair, and committee members. We, of course, stand in full support of this bill. She opened 140 years ago. So she is 143 if you go from the day they laid that cornerstone with the Masonic ceremony. But this year we celebrate 140 years of being open. And one of the first events was a luncheon for lawmakers. So we'll see if that can happen. But you know, she's 140 and she's definitely showing her age. Iolani Palace has, if walls could talk, it would be amazing to see from the wonderful things that Kalakaua and Lili'u did, you know, in bringing so many fantastic things from around the world into this truly international, independent Hawaiian sovereign kingdom that we had. It wasn't a little island in the middle of the ocean. It was an independent country that had so much firsts, so many firsts. And then of course the overthrow, and then what happened after that. It really represents so many things to so many people. We sat down last year, we actually took a tour with DLNR and we identified everything that really needed fixing. And it's not just the little things cosmetic, it was the big things. And then we sat down and we came out with that list. It took 2 days with our folks and architect Glenn Mason and Kurt and Alan and the engineers from DLNR to come up with what were the actual projects, what were the problems, a price that they could put on it, and then to prioritize it. And you remember in 2019, when I came to talk with you folks, or 2020, that really, before the pandemic hit, that was something I really wanted, was a punch list that kind of told us what were the priorities that needed to be done. So we have this, and it's very significant. What we have in this bill is just that first section. If you look at the entire list, it's nearly $17 million worth of projects, because she's, you know, it's an old house, right? And there's so much that needs to be done. And that's not even taking into consideration climate change in the future of the palace. But this would help us with the roof, which we've already kind of started to work on. The HVAC system, which is so important in keeping the temperature and humidity. We have many problems with the HVAC system that we have now. It was put into, the one that was chosen way before I came on was one that would fit into the present, at that time, HVAC system. And so it just, there's new technology and there's better things that could happen. Another thing that I think is really important in there is the electrical and structural survey. Now, last year I showed you guys, show and tell it, Paula. I showed you this leaf that came off of the column. So if you look at the columns, the capitals at the top are these decorative leaves, and this had fallen into the moat, and it weighs about 2.5 pounds. And so we labeled where it was, and we just kept an eye out, didn't see anything else happening. About 2 weeks ago, this fell. This weighs about 8.5 pounds. It's cast iron. The columns are cast iron. These leaves are cast iron, but it's the bolt that's holding them in that rusted. So this fell, and the one next to it is loose. And so we strapped rope around it. The Friends of Iolani Palace already have contracted with Constructors Hawai'i to come in. They're coming in on Monday with a lift, and it's going to take about 4 days to go around the entire palace and pretty much wiggle every one of these leaves. And, you know, there's just, it's leaf and leaf and leaf and leaf that's on there. Another one we already know is the one that's loose is even bigger. Luckily, we had bird netting to keep the birds off of the second floor, and it caught this, or it would have fallen down. So, you know, there is a lot of health and safety for the public and for our staff as well when we look at that. So, so this would go a long ways into helping us to start checking off the list all of these things that need to be done. I mean, Iolani Palace is an incredible place for the world. You know, and for Hawaii, there's nothing that can compare for what it means, not only to our Lahui and the Hawaiian people, but the people of Hawaii and what it represents. And so we stand in full support. This would be a really important step in reinvesting into this very special wahipana. Anyway, thank you. If you have any questions, I'm here.
Thank you, Paula. We also have 11 other testifiers who all testified in support of this bill. Do we have any questions from members? Questions? Okay, yeah, I think you covered everything, so thank you. We'll proceed to the next bill. This will be Senate Bill 2731 relating to the Bernice Pauahi Bishop Museum. Let's see, we have Jonathan Johnson from the State Foundation on Culture and the Arts.
Sure, Chair Taniguchi, Vice Chair members, State Foundation stands on our testimony and support. And a shout out that when you're walking to Chinatown for First Friday, Hi Sam is open tonight from 6 to 9. So thanks.
Thanks, JJ. We also have Kaivi Yoon from Bishop Museum.
Aloha, Senator. Aloha, committee members. Thank you for this time. We stand on our testimony. And, you know, after hearing, you know, from the State Archives and Iolani Palace, I can't help but feel to be compelled that this is an interesting time to really take a look at our historic buildings and our historic structures as leaves fall off of buildings and as water infiltrates collects 25 million objects in our possession on behalf of the state to preserve and protect those things. You know, I'm not sure if Bishop Museum is a she or a he. I think it's a he, she, the dog, the cat, the whole 9 yards. I mean, if you look at the archives and the at Iolani Palace, and you multiply that, you know, by X numbers for 15 acres across our campus, we too have the same Band-Aid fixes and issues that archives and Paula and Iolani, you know, Palace has. So, you know, this could be a great time, you know, Senator Taniguchi, to really dig in, especially as we look at, you know, stuff like reinventing tourism and what are the services and information that we're delivering to our kama'aina and our guests. That's all contained in the archives, Iolani Palace, and Bishop Museum. You know, we're not all one and the same. I want to make that point. We're all very unique. You know, Bishop Museum has, like I said, 25 million objects in its possession, but it also has 100+ years of scientific natural resource research from across the Pacific. And that exists nowhere else in the world. So we stand in our testimony, and mahalo, Senator and committee members, for your continued support for our historic buildings and our archives.
Thank you, Kaiwi. We also have additional testimony from Budget and Finance, offering comments, as well as 2 other testimonies, all in strong support. Do we have any questions from members? If not, I have a quick question, Kaiwi. I wasn't aware that they changed the funding for Bishop Museum. Had a base amount, right, that they got every year, 600,000, 600 plus. But that was changed last year, and you got funding through the ARP. And so, were you able to use all the 600,000? Because there are restrictions on the ability to spend that money. So I was just wondering if you were able to spend that, given that it was funded through the federal monies.
That's correct, Senator. And yes, the subsidy currently is at 626. Back in 1993, it was, or 92, it was 2.5 million. And then right after that, it kind of dropped off. So we've been operating with 626 since that time, or declining and down to 626 to this time. Yes, we spent the federal fundings as they came in. It evaporated, Senator.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, it was 2.5, but
back in 1992, 93, it was at 2.5. If we were to project that to today, that's easily at 5 million, 5 to 7 million.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Senator.
Further questions from members? Any questions?
Yeah.
Senator Favela.
Yeah, hi. Is that the I guess the section 6E-35 or section E-40? Is that the funds we're talking about, Chair?
What document are you?
Well, these are the state designation for the museum and Iolani Palace. So I just wanted to know if those funds was ever used in the sections, I guess, for the Hawai'i revised statute.
I'm not quite up on it, but my understanding was that we used to have a base amount in the budget. So that means every year they would have gotten 600,000, even if we didn't have an appropriation. So that got changed last year. We actually did like 1.5, I think, 2 years ago, but that was only for 1 year. We wanted it to be what we call recurring. So it happens every year. We don't automatically, we don't have to change, we have to come in and up it or keep it the same. So right now they're getting 600,000 plus per year, but it's, I'm not sure how that's going to work. I think the federal thing runs out. So we do have to see if we can at least restore the 600. And I'm hoping that maybe we go up to a 1.5 or 2 million to get it closer to what it was, 20 years ago, 20, 30 years ago. So that's where I'm at. Does that answer your question, Senator?
So, yeah, so is the money that we're talking about, is that the one that was designated in the Hawaii revised statute?
I don't think it's in the statute. Yeah. Okay.
Under the historical preservation,
Uh,
section, page 357, 6E 43, Bernice Pai Bishop Museum, official designation state Hawaii revised statute in the designation of the funds was 1988, then 1991, to 1997. Did we ever had that, did they ever use that in the previous past?
I'm sure that monies were just, expended by the museum. I'm pretty sure.
Okay,
Okay, so this will be,
Yeah.
now, yeah. Any further questions? Okay, thank you. If not, we'll proceed to Senate Bill 3222. This is relating to the creative workforce. Let's see, we have Stuart Zwagel for DBED.
Hello, aloha, Chair, Vice Chair, and members of the committee. DBET stands on its written testimony offering comments. I'm here to also take back any questions the committee may have to our Creative Industries Division Chief, Georgia Skinner.
Okay, thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. Thank you.
State Foundation on Cultural Arts, Jonathan Johnson.
Chair Taniguchi, Vice Chair, members of the committee, SFCA stands on our written testimony offering comments.
Thank you. Let's see. We also have two other testifiers, Department of Budget and Finance offering comments, and testimony from Donkey Mill Arts Center in support. Do we have any questions from members? Okay, if not, we'll proceed to the last bill. This is relating to the State Foundation of Cultural Arts. This is for an artist fellowship program. We have Jonathan Johnson, State
Sure.
Foundation.
Chair Taniguchi, members of the committee, State Foundation stands on our testimony and support. And we really appreciate the work that the funding goes to these individual artists who are one of the most challenged in this time. So thank you for this.
Okay, thank you. The only testimony, are there any questions from members on this? Okay, if not, we'll recess the public hearing, and can you put us in a breakout room?
All right, I'll
Thank you. Welcome back. This is the Committee on Labor, Culture, and the Arts, and we just heard a number of bills, Senate bills. So we will be in decision-making for those bills at this time. We'll begin with Senate Bill 3221. This is relating to international sister state relations. Let's see. In the testimony, Budget and Finance pointed out that there was some money released, but it is under federal. It has federal funding instead of the regular state funding. So we will. We did get a budget from DBED, the sister state staff, and they indicated that probably 200,000 would be a good figure, and so we will insert $200,000 appropriation and make technical non-substantive amendments for the purposes of clarity and consistency. So pass with amendments. Any discussion? If not, Senator Ihara.
Members of the Committee on Labor, Culture, and the Arts, we're voting on the chair's recommendation to pass Senate Bill 3221 with amendments. Chair Taniguchi,
Aye.
Vice Chair votes aye. Senator Chang,
Aye.
Senator Keohakaloe,
Aye.
Senator Favela.
Aye.
The recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Next bill, Senate Bill 2713, relating to capital improvement projects for the state archives. Chair is going to recommend that we authorize issuance of $1 million. And so we'll pass this bill as is. Any discussion? If not, Senator Ihara.
Okay, we're voting on the chair's recommendation to pass Senate Bill 2713 as is unamended. Any reservations or objections to the recommendation? The recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Senate Bill 3317, relating to capital improvement projects for Iolani Palace. This would authorize $10.74 million for general obligation bonds for Iolani Palace. This is for CIP projects. Chair recommend we pass as is. Any discussion? Not Senator Ihara.
The recommendation is to pass Senate Bill 3317 unamended. Any reservations or objections? The recommendation is adopted.
Thank you, members. Senate Bill 2731, which is relating to the Bernice Pauhi Bishop Museum. Chair's concern is that their recurring $626,000 is kind of in jeopardy, and there may be limitations on how they can spend that. But and actually, I think they should be getting probably a lot more than the 626. So Chair's going to recommend we insert $2 million appropriation, and that it be on a recurring basis. That we change the expending agency to the Department of Accounting and General Services, and that we make technical non-substantive amendments for the purposes of clarity and consistency. You have any discussion? If not, Senator Ihara.
Committee members, we're voting on the recommendation to pass Senate Bill 2731 with amendments. Any objections or reservations? Recommendation is adopted.
Thank you very much, members. Senate Bill 3222, relating to creative workforce. Chair is going to recommend that we delete the provisions for establishing a creative workforce grant, that we just provide the State Foundation of Culture and the Arts an additional $200,000 from general revenues to help take the place of this, and that we make technical and non-substantive amendments for the purposes of clarity and consistency. Any discussion?
Chair, sorry, clarification on the title changing. Are we eliminating it? How is it being done?
I guess the 200,000 will be for to help with the creative workforce stuff. So I think we're still sort of in the ballpark. So we're not concerned about that.
New program?
I'm sorry?
Is that a new program?
The grant program that this bill was trying to do would be a new program. What we're saying is maybe the State Foundation can kind of handle it and do grants for the creative workforce, that similar type thing, that we can use this additional monies for that purpose.
Thank you.
What? Yeah, in the existing, State Foundation has an existing grant program.
Right.
And so this would be in addition to that, and would kind of focus on that segment. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
And I guess they'll work with the Arts Council too. Okay.
So you heard the chair's recommendation to pass Senate Bill 3222 with amendments. Any objections, reservations? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you, members. Senate Bill 3290. This is relating to the State Foundation of Culture and Arts. This is the Artist Fellowship. Chair recommend we pass as is. Any discussion?
You heard the chair's recommendation to pass Senate Bill 3290. Any objection, unamended? Any reservations, objections? Recommendations adopted.
Thank you, members. We spent a lot of money, but We still got a ways to go, huh? Okay, thank you. Thank you very much.
Have a good weekend.